Hello, everyone, and welcome to Geekin Out. If you're used to seeing me, my face, you're wondering what's going on because you've heard of Talk It Out, but you never heard of Geek It Out. So last week, we had an impromptu session of Talk It Out where we discussed geek culture, and it was such a fun experience that we decided to make our own series dedicated just to the fangirls and the fanboys out there, to the geeks, the nerds, the weirdos, because that's what we all are. That's how we identify. So normally I'm the host, but since this is a whole new thing, tonight the moderator, host, lead, whatever you want to say, is Jessa. Jessa, take it away. You're muted, babe.
I'm muted?
Yeah, now you're not.
Am I good now?
You're good.
Perfect. Okay. So I thought it would be really fun for us to kind of just start with some pop culture. So I was actually going to toss it right over to Ricky first and have her talk about something pretty cool that she has on her plate.
Okay. So if you guys have heard about the events with Megan Thee Stallion, she was recently in an altercation like sometime last week.
Megan Thee Stallion's the first nerd.
Look. Hold on. So she's gone through something traumatic, and we've all acknowledged that.
She got shot, didn't she?
Yes, she
did. She got shot.
So
tell for people who don't know, because they're living under a rock, tell what happened.
I was living under that rock. I didn't.
Okay, so I believe it was an issue with a rapper Tory Lanez. I guess he shot her. I haven't.
No one knows who shot her. That's
no one knows.
No one knows who shot her. People are saying he shot her, but that's never been emphatically said.
Okay, well, she was shot, but she was with Tory Lanez at the time, and so there was some issues there. So she's been going through something traumatic. So recently, she had just posted on Twitter. I'm gonna share my screen. Hold on, 1 second.
Oh, don't do that. We can't always do that. So
okay. Don't worry about it. Okay, then I'll just read the tweet to you. Okay.
Read the tweet.
All right. So it says, this is Megan Thee Stallion. She said, Black women are so unprotected and we hold so many things in to protect the feelings of others without considering our own. It might be funny to y'all on the internet and just another messy topic for you to talk about. But this is my real life and I'm real life hurt and traumatized. So I can relate to that where, there's a lot of pressure and expectation put on Black women to kind of save the day in certain ways. So we are at the front lines when it comes to supporting our Black men, when it comes to Black Lives Matter, voting, things like that. And it has become like an expectation. And plus it also feeds into a lot of stereotypes like the strong Black woman, the Black woman being a mule. So this is how it relates to
geek culture.
To geek culture. So if you guys watched last time, we talked about our favorite vampire shows, and we did mention Vampire Diaries. So the showrunner for Vampire Diaries and the originals and legacy and all that stuff, Julie Plec, decided this would be a good thing to say. Give me a second. It's not. Pull it up. All right, here we go. I believe Black women are going to save us all. And I'm so sorry to put that pressure on you. White women are continually failing all of us. I hope you understand that to me, seeing you as a hero is not meant to add to your anxiety, whether it's to lift you up and celebrate you.
I have so many comments about everything you just said.
Look, Julie Plec, girl. Did you miss the whole point of Megan's original tweet?
But here's the thing. She was trying to now I will say this. So to dig deeper into, Julie Plec is the creator of one of my favorite Black characters that's ever been on anything ever. I think Bonnie Bennett on that show was groundbreaking on so many levels. we talked about this last time. Bonnie Bennett's one of the only characters on that show to ever get ousted to like another dimension or killed to bring herself back. Every other time, it's like the group goes and saves these people. Bonnie is never the one who gets saved. She's always the one doing the saving. And it sucks what she said, but honestly, I think she needed to say that, Julie Plec. And this is why I disagree with you, Rakia, because what she basically is acknowledging the fact that we put too much pressure on Black women.
But at the same time, though, when she said that, and I brought this up when I looked at it on Twitter, I'm like, this kind of explains why she wrote Bonnie Bennett the way that she was, because there was a lot of you get to see the other characters on that show deal with their trauma, and they all dealt with something traumatic. They all dealt with loss, but a lot of the times when Bonnie had to deal with loss, as soon as it happened, she was gone for several episodes, or she was dealing it by herself the entire time, or no one really acknowledged it because they needed her to do something. They needed her to keep on and keep going. And
you're saying that's a negative thing.
I'm seeing that as negative. I think that kind of deals with how she wrote the whole Bennett folklore, the whole Bennett coven family. Like they were there to support their white counterparts, whether it's to be the supportive friend or the protector, the card under their sleeve with magic. Like that was kind of like their purpose, which it should have been the case because the Bennett family was the basis of the entire like vampire folklore for them.
You know what's crazy to me is that you look at you make me think about Charm because of Daryl. And now that I think about it, that's pretty much what they did to him on that show too. I never really considered, like, you always hear about tokenism and all those kind of things. So it makes a lot of sense in my head. And I guess I never thought of it. I guess I didn't think of it as a negative thing. I always thought, oh, if you're going to create Black characters like that, you must think positively. You must think highly of them. But that's an interesting spin.
So like I've always seen this with Bonnie Bennett, like as much as I love Bonnie Bennett, that's my favorite character from that show. It's always played off as two types of stereotypes combined together. The mammy, there to coddle and support the white characters, and the magical Negro, because she's Black and she is magical. And so you're combining that together where it's basically to prop up the white characters in the story. And it kind of looks like that for a lot of the characters of color.
So what do you say? She shouldn't have said it?
She shouldn't have said it. She could have talked.
What should she have said, if anything?
She could have kept her mouth quiet, to be honest with you. Other than like, we support you, we understand, heart emoji, something. Like I get the good intentions, but the road to hell was paved that way too.
What do you guys think? Y'all can talk about it.
I don't really know much about it, so I really don't have a leg to stand on in this. And I also don't really know much about Vampire Diaries. I do think it's interesting. It's an interesting perspective because I haven't really thought about the viewpoint that you guys are saying that, that the Black characters are usually there to prop up these white characters. And so I think it's something that I definitely want to try to pay a little more attention to as I'm continuing to watch, especially going back and watching some of these like 90s shows. It's a really interesting perspective that I hadn't thought about. Chris, do you have anything to add before we move on?
No, I'm kind of in the same boat. I was an extra on the Vampire Diaries, but never really watched it. So like, I have no idea really the context of, her opinion on Twitter at all, just because I didn't really watch the show. I'm sorry. And I did not even know that Megan Thee Stallion got shot. Like
what?
I didn't. I'm sorry.
She got shot like a week ago.
Yeah, some of us just try to stay out of like the watching the news kind of area because it's like just so negative right now, and I need to keep.
Like it's hard not to because there's really nothing to do. But you guys go to work though, so I guess.
Yeah. So it makes it easier. So I am going to move on to something a little more lighthearted. As you know, Stan Lee has since passed, but Archie Comics has decided that they're going to launch some new comic books based on his characters, which I think is really fun. So they're going to be creating brand new stories for characters like Spider-Man, the X-Men, which Chris, I'm sure you might be excited about, Thor, Iron Man, Black Panther, and the Fantastic Four. So this is really exciting, I think, especially for comic book heroes. Chris, I see you nodding your head. Do you have anything you want to say about this?
Oh no, I also love the Fantastic Four too. I mean, like they're not one of my like most favorites, but I mean, I love me a group. I just love a good group.
Why do you like groups so much?
Because I don't have friends.
I didn't think that's where you're going with it. I thought there was going to be like this deep message about teamwork and freaking like all that stuff, but
Nope.
No, I just want friends. I want a group of mutant friends.
I think teamwork is kind of cool, like seeing how strengths and weaknesses come together. It's kind of like something that I think a lot of people could learn to do better in the world that we're in now. You know,
I think that's great too. But what frustrates me about it is when because I don't think that's the message that's sent by the way. Now this might be controversial. I don't think that's the message that's sent by how Hollywood produces a lot of these movies. I think they produce them on the idea that one of them is more important than the rest all the time. Because to me,
focus on one in a story sometimes,
and that frustrates me, especially when it just so happens to be a white man. Sorry, I know you're all trying to get away from that, but I'm speaking specifically about Wolverine. They made his character, because they tried to force him to be the lead of that series, they ruined it. They ruined everything about X-Men trying to force Wolverine to be a leading man. When if they were going to make anybody a leading man, probably should have been Cyclops.
I mean, that's the Cyclops was the leading guy, and Wolverine was always kind of the outsider. I don't know why they
they knew that it would bring in women and men. Cyclops, honestly, if they did Cyclops correctly, he would have brought in male audiences too. But men are going to relate more to and all that toxic masculine kind of stuff. So it's all about making money. But what you see now is, especially with geek culture becoming more and more popular, you see now we just love the story as it is. We don't need you to sell us on anything else. We just like a good riveting story.
That's a big point that I have for later, just about like how mainstream this geek culture has become. So I think you make a really great point about that, Duryea, for sure. Before we get there, I was just going to go over a couple new Netflix shows that are very exciting and geeky. Cursed, Ricky, I know that we had mentioned that before, is like this King Arthur legend before with like this powerful female character. Ricky, have you watched any of it yet?
No, but I've seen the preview and I'm super excited to watch it. So like I'm in saving myself for it to get find the right time to kind of sit and binge it. So I'm excited about that.
Oh yeah, I've watched the first episode, and no spoilers, but I think some of it is a little hokey, but I really enjoyed it so far. I think it's pretty cool. I see the comment there that Cyclops was a stick in the mud.
But she's right though. They made him so freaking whack. He's supposed to be like deadly with his hands. Like he will put all that stuff. Cyclops will get you together, have you crying.
I really watched a lot of it. I watched like the originals. So, but I can remember being like, why does the Dark Phoenix not like Wolverine? Because Cyclops doesn't seem super cool. So I do kind of, but again, it's been a very long time since I've watched it.
But you also have to ask yourself this, like, if you're the leader of the X-Men, why? Why? Just because all he did was shoot things out of his face. That's it. How are you the leader of the X-Men?
Because that shot was powerful.
I'm not saying in the comic books. I'm saying in the movies.
Oh, yeah.
So why did they make him more powerful?
Because he's in the comic books. He's like one of the strongest mutants. Like there's Mr. Sinister, who is like literally his whole goal is to freaking take Jean Grey's DNA and take freaking Cyclops' DNA and make super children. But if Cyclops is not, if that's all he can do, that's all they had him do was just walk around like this. I just was so upset.
No, you're right, for sure. So another cool one that you brought up actually, Dure, was this Project Power. So a former soldier teams up with a cop to find, basically it becomes like super powerful. So Jamie Foxx. Do you want to say anything about that? Or are you looking forward
I
to
would like to
watching?
say plenty. So I think it's really difficult. And this is actually, I was watching a movie of some other time, and I forget what the name of the movie was, but we're seeing this more often where people are willing to write things that are more science fiction, that are more, that's becoming a fad because geeks are adults now, essentially. But anyway, so the idea is that they have a pill that they can take and it sparks whatever gene within them, which is kind of a little bite off of X-Men, but we're gonna ignore that. And it takes whatever gene that's in them and ignites some sort of power. And so everybody has a power and you won't know what it is until you take the pill. And I'm sure there's going to be complications throughout the story about how healthy it is and all that stuff. But man, when I tell you this was a trailer for your ass, I was like, I was watching it on accident. You know how like when ads come up, whatever you're streaming, you just skip them. I don't know what happened. I saw somebody with fire in their hands or something. I said, wait a minute. And then I sat and watched it and I was like, oh, I really think it makes me excited because I love Netflix pouring money into these type of movies, especially with post-COVID. People are gonna be leery about movie theaters, which is sad, but we're still, and I hope we don't lose the quality of movie because that, and this makes me feel like we absolutely won't.
Yeah, I think that's true. You're right that we're coming up with all this quality content for sure. Another one that I saw. Oh, go. Sorry.
One more thing. And the lead is a black guy who's an original character.
Which I love. I love these new characters that they're coming out with.
I do have some stuff to say about that post I posted about the guy they want to cast as Dr. Doom, if we have time.
Oh, for sure. We'll get there, I'm sure. Chris, did you have anything you wanted to say? No? Okay. The last one that I was going to bring up was Warrior Nun. I saw the trailer. It looked really cool. So basically, a woman wakes up in a morgue with these like powers, and then she gets up in the battle between good and evil. So I haven't watched it. It's on the list. Has anyone else watched it? It stars Alba Batista. If I'm saying that right, I hope I'm saying that right. But it looks really cool. I saw some like katana action, I think, which I always love a good like, Kill Bill katana action. So
no, I haven't watched it yet, but I've seen the trailer probably like 3 times, and every time I watched it, I'm like, I gotta watch this. This is my thing.
It does look good.
It's growing on me slowly. I've sat through.
You started it?
Yes, I did. I've watched a couple episodes. It's been on the background a little bit, but I do like this idea. This interesting idea of like the secret warrior society within the church, within the Catholic Church. So like you have, okay, I won't spoil. So
no, I mean, don't spoil too much, but spoiler alert.
Little right. like sprinkles of it. Yeah.
Okay. So you're gonna see a lot of like in the title, nuns that have have joined the church, but they're actually like fighters, and they really kick ass. So like it's really interesting. It's growing on me. So
okay,
not my full endorsement yet.
Oh, so someone commented and says, Warrior Nun starts slow, but it's great. It's based on the comic Arela Warrior Nun. Did I say that right? I hope. Sorry if I did.
Ariella Warrior Nun.
So,
Michael.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. That's really cool.
I am so freaking stoked about all of that. Like we just named like 4 projects of like all the stuff we've been wanting to see that's coming out. It all looks high quality. You have it on all levels, like from big budget to just like watch it. Oh my God, I'm so excited.
Yes, and hey, if y'all have anything else, like tell me, do you guys have a current geek obsession going on right now? Because I want to hear about it. Let's go.
In the comics as well. So you mean in the comics or is us?
comments and y'all. What's going on?
I do want to talk about that guy. I want to say his name right. And I think it's like Giancarlo or something like that.
I think I'm Giancarlo. There you go.
Giancarlo Esposito.
Yes, Giancarlo Esposito. First of all, let me preface with, I love that guy. He's dope. He's amazing in everything he does. He's an awesome actor. I get frustrated when they want to cast him as Dr. Doom, because to me, I feel like it's just a forced and performative action. Like, instead of casting a white character, and I think Dr. Doom's race is a very important part of who Dr. Doom is. He comes from a certain type of privilege because he's from that country and all that stuff. And you look up people. Latveria is based off of Latvia. If you look up Latvian people, they don't look anything. They're blonde hair, blue eyed, skinny. They're very Nordic looking. I don't need you to recast him. Now Jessa got me with it though. She was like, "But what about Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury?" And I was like,
"Okay, so no, I have to preface. That was my husband, and I was talking to him because he's more of like this comic book superhero side that I'm not great at. So I was like, "What do you think about this character?" And he was like, "Well, Dr. Doom for me has never really been about race. It's been about like he's always in like his gear or whatever." But then he's the one that brought up Nick Fury, so that was interesting, I think. But Chris, I know that you said you liked the Fantastic Four. What's your thoughts on that actor?
I'm kind of the same mindset. Like, I mean, Dr. Doom, I never thought about it as a race thing. So to me, it doesn't matter if he's black, white, Puerto Rican, Asian. I really don't care, because it is more about like the mask and just that awesome power that he has. So, I mean, I don't mind it so much. I don't think it's an overreach. I don't think it's an overstep. I think it's a conscious decision to like maybe incorporate more diversity into the franchise. But
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead. You go.
But if you want to put more diversity into the franchise, why cast a black guy in a role where he's going to be masked the whole time?
Well, I think that the actor has also proven that he can be really cool in that role.
But Dr. Doom, like you said, Dr. Doom is not like, he's got a mask on the whole time for the most part because he's so disfigured. How much of it's going to actually be this actor? It's probably going to be mostly him voicing. Like, I think there's a better way to go about it. If you want to put more opportunities for not just black people either, because Grace brought up a great point. There's this character, Miss Marvel. Mm-hmm. Miss Marvel, who's from Pakistan.
Kamala Khan,
yeah. I mean, there's characters that they're creating, new characters. Don't take a character, because I honestly think it's important for some of these characters to be white. Because to me, it's important for certain characters to be white, because when they are standing next to the black ones, it makes a certain statement. I'm not saying this is one of those positions, but if you want to make a cool black villain, just create a black villain.
That's true.
You're still creating comics. You did say they're still creating comics, so just make another character.
Well, I think that there can be something said for nostalgia too, because it's not just us that they're making these movies for. You're making movies too for like my dad's generation. My dad has like the Fantastic Four comic books, so I think that they're probably a little afraid to like get rid of a character like Dr. Doom, because they don't want to alienate a group of people that love Dr. Doom as a villain, right? So I think that it's a really hard balance for them to strike sometimes. And I'm not agreeing or disagreeing necessarily with the choice, but I'm just saying I think that sometimes they're trying to take a lot of other things into perspective.
So can I ask y'all a question?
Yeah.
How did y'all feel when Michael B. Jordan played Johnny Storm? So because of that, they added to the story that Sue Storm was adopted.
I have no idea what that is.
See, I didn't watch that version of Fantastic Four.
I did.
The last one I remember. So I watched the Jessica Alba one. That was the last one I saw.
I know. That was. I don't know why they didn't just keep her and the rest of them. That was fine.
That was fine. I mean, it wasn't like brilliant, but it was fine.
I was fine with it. Look, I was I thought that was the first two of those. I was like, why are they not making more? Kerry Washington,
right?
Evans fine ass, Jessica Alba's fine ass. I said, everybody in here fine. Everybody here know how to fight. People shooting stuff at their hands. I'm enthralled. Why are we not doing more of this?
But that's like that early, not early, but like early 2000s superhero stuff that like they tried it out, and some of them worked, and some of them really didn't last as long as they should have. So I don't know.
Well, I think that this conversation has really opened us up to starting into the kind of like purpose of today's podcast, and that is, what is geekdom versus fandom? And I think the best way to start is for everybody to go around and kind of talk about what you think the differences is, and does it matter? So does anyone want to start? And side note, I think Julian is having some technical difficulties.
Yes,
so
I'm talking with him now. I'm getting him to get. We're trying to figure it out.
Heard. Who wants to start?
I'll start. So, because I'm the one that kind of brought up this idea of just like talking about fandom on here. But for me, I feel like fandom and geekdom overlap. Geekdom, I've probably does specialize more with the sci-fi and like I'll start. So fantasy. There's some feedback going on. But fandom, I feel like fandom can include the geekdom, and it includes just like not just the media and the content, but like exploring fan ideas and getting into meeting the fans of whatever the genre is, and exploring even more of that, like with fan fiction, and because I'm a big fan fiction fan, especially now on like Twitter, like interacting with people as part of like geekdom. So I feel like they overlap a lot.
Right. Chris, you wanna take it next?
Sure. For me, I feel like geekdom or the shows and series and movies that promote geekdom, like really promote that actual like aspect of it. And like the fandom, I mean, like, because Parks and Rec was brought up several times in our conversation as, part of our geek conversation. And while, yes, there are many geeks that watch Parks and Rec, it doesn't promote the same level of geek culture that like geek things do, sci-fi, fantasy, all things mutant powers and all that stuff. So I feel like the things that either highlight or promote or elevate the real, the magic, the powers, the sci-fi, all of that, that's the kind of stuff that's like really geekdom to me. Although I feel like, there are many things that, have fandoms that geeks can relate to. But, say the difference between so Parks and Rec and this other space show. What is it? The Big Bang Theory.
Oh.
So like the Big Bang Theory, I feel like that's more geekdom.
Really?
Even though it's a not a rom-com, sitcom. It's a sitcom, but it promotes more of the like kind of geek culture than does Parks and Rec, and it also has a huge fandom. So like, I mean, it kind of does overlap a bit, like Ricky was saying. There is some overlap, but like, some things I just feel like, obviously promote geeks to like wave their freak flag high, and those are the things that I really consider geekdom. That's my 2 cents.
Daria, I know you have very strong feelings about that. Do you want to go last?
I feel like if you freaking call it fandom just because it has, if you call it geekdom just because it has a fan base, then everything is geekdom. Freaking Sarah, what's her name? What's the girl? Rachel Ray's freaking got a fan base, so that's geekdom now.
She's a geek. She's a cooking
so
geek.
Every football fan ever is now a geek.
The Kardashians.
You can be a geek card, and I'm like, no, there's certain ramifications. I think the one thing that specifies geekdom from fandom is spectacle.
Yeah.
When you're talking about something that's geekdom, like Parks and Rec, even though it could have like a really hardcore fan base who's down for whatever and go to all of your panels and stuff, there's no spectacle in that show. And when I say spectacle, it means that there's some sort of level, there's something that's happening in this world that makes the audience have to tap into their what's it called? When you
imagination. They've got to like travel.
Chris, what's the term? I always use the term when you're acting and then they talk about suspension of disbelief. The audience has to release it. If you don't have to release that in order to watch it, it's not geekdom. If you can say basically, all right, this could happen in real life as far as we know. Now, some people could argue that mutant life can really happen, but you get my point. If there's no sense of that, then it's not geekdom. So when we talk about Parks and Rec, the idea is, because that was going to be the topic for anyone that's watching. We're going to talk about Parks. And I want to hear y'all's opinions too in the comments, please.
Yes, please
talking
do.
about that. Because Jessica was like, oh, next week we can talk about Parks and Rec. And I was like,
okay, I have a little amendment to what I said. So just
you can't be amending stuff now. It's too late.
So there's a group of friends that I have at work, and we'll constantly just like walk up to each other and kind of like say like a weird like The Office reference or something. So it'll just be like, sometimes I don't think you even know food very well. Just something like super, super out there that you'd have to watch it a million times to understand. But so I asked one of them today, and I was like, do you think that Parks and Rec in The Office is geek or fan or both? And the answer that he got was pretty much what Duryea and Chris have both said. Sorry to be maybe switching sides, but it was kind of like, I know, but it was kind of just like, no, because I know a lot of normal non-geeky people that love The Office, but that is the only geeky thing that they like, right?
Why is The Office geeky? I'm confused.
Because it's nerdy. It's kind of, it's just weird, right? Like you can be like super into it and that can be geeky. Let me rephrase. The show itself is not geeky, but the way that you can be a fan about the show can be
So
geeky.
What's the difference between a Parks and Rec fan and a fan of This Is Us?
I don't know. Do you like walk around? I don't watch This Is Us. Do you walk around like quoting it? Do you have like stickers?
I don't, because I don't watch it either. But I don't know if I watch it either. But when you hear about This Is Us online, everyone's like, "Oh my god, oh that show's so amazing," and all that stuff. So I feel like,
I think maybe because it's like a comedy. So like a lot of the stuff that it's like the worst thing about prison was the Dementor. Like you can go and you can make jokes and have fun. And like I have stickers on my laptop that have like Michael Scott quotes on it. Like, so I think you can be a geek about those shows, but I will say that no, they're not geekdom.
So what do you mean when you say geek? We got a special guest, everybody.
Oh, yay.
What do you mean when you say geek?
So I think for me, geek has always felt like the thing that when you were in elementary school or middle school, you got made fun of for liking because it wasn't mainstream yet.
Cool, right?
It wasn't cool. So it was like kind of that cult following, right? Like,
Right.
Like Buffy was obviously a cult following.
But because it wasn't cool. Surprisingly enough, Buffy wasn't cool at first.
Yeah, no. So I think for me, the geeky stuff is like the stuff that if you weren't like a popular kid in school, you really you enjoyed it a lot, typically, like Star Wars. I, at least in my school, you got kind of made fun of if you liked like Star Wars, or like if you were like the nerdy kid at school.
No, I get what you're saying.
Cards in the lunchroom.
Sailor Moon.
I'm confused, Jessa, because all of the things that you're naming are like super, super cool and pop culture.
Well, now they are, but
no, wait. I mean, like I don't mean it like the X-Men wasn't cool then, it's cool now. Buffy wasn't cool. I don't mean it like that. I mean, these are new platforms that are cool immediately. The Office was cool when it came out. Parks and Rec was cool when it came out. Big Bang Theory was cool when it came out. These are things that were immediately cool and stayed that way. So the things that I would consider, the things I would consider geekdom from like nowadays is like, I can't think of anything that's, because everything I watch is geekdom. So I can't something that's like
that you have it. You're right. It has to be that supernatural fantasy sci-fi, because I do think that like this is where this second topic that I had, where mainstream has made geek cool. So you've got things like Game of Thrones or The Witcher, or things that have come out that have kind of blown up for people that were not nerds and not geeky. And so it's really hard to find that line now, because like by all terms, like Game of Thrones is super geeky. That is like that is the culture. So many people watch it that it's become so mainstream. So how do you think that geekdom has now transferred, right? How do you explain that, y'all? Anybody?
Y'all know I got something to say.
Go ahead and say it, Jerry.
I'm just saying, I'm trying to let y'all speak.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. Well,
The shade. The shade. Oh my God.
That's so hard to understand because I can't necessarily decide about what was it about Game of Thrones that just made it so big.
Social media.
I guess, and that's probably part of it too, because of being able to like live tweet, what you're watching, and like everybody keep like catches on, and like the hashtags that people create. Like I think that's part of it. Like it's different now. We are able to connect with other people and spread our ideas about shows so much more frequently than we would be able to before. And not even just like to our friends and family, but like just people all over the world. So I can attribute it to that, because there are certain things that probably would not have made it past the first season or two if it wasn't for social media and people live tweeting it.
So do y'all think that like the sexual content, the really hot characters, do you think that has anything to do with like attracting more than just your typical nerd fandom?
It didn't hurt, but like,
I mean, yeah, no, it never hurts.
But like, think of like how many shows Gina Torres has been in that are sci-fi, and that's a hot woman, but like they don't last as long. So I'm just like, I think that's just kind of part of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think my theory is twofold. So I think that number one, all the stuff that we thought was geeky and that we got made fun of for watching when we were kids, every freaking body was watching it and just didn't, say anything about it, and like just like watched it in secret and was like, oh no, that's so geeky and nerdy. And now they're all like, oh, this is so cool. And then also the production value of everything geek now is just so high. I mean, like, especially like, the accepted, like, I mean, Game of Thrones and all the Marvel stuff. Like, I mean, the production value is out of this world.
You got that HBO budget.
That HBO budget be on fire.
Right.
Okay. Like, people be looking at real life dragons and saying, is this real? Like,
oh my God, can we talk for 5 seconds about the dragon scene in Game of Thrones? Sometimes when you build up to something in these kind of situations and it happens, it's anticlimactic. Oh my God. I was with my friend when I watched that for the first time. And when I tell you I was standing in the living room screaming and jumping around, he was like, oh, I guess this is a really big deal. I said, oh my. You have to make a whole show about that scene at some point.
Oh, it's great. It's a good scene. All of the like Daenerys reveal scenes, like just, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Were you done, Chris? Because I cut you off. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, it's fine. No, I was just going to say for those reasons twofold, because the production value now is so high and because everybody was already watching that ish and lying about it. And now they get to watch it and be like, oh, I'm cool because it's everyone's cool now for watching this. That's why I think that nerd culture is just taken off because, it's fun to watch. A and B, y'all are already watching it. That's why.
I have a different opinion about why. I have 2 opinions. My first opinion is X-Men. I feel like the success of that first movie opened the door for any and everything like that to be produced on that type of budget. I feel like if that wasn't done well or if it didn't make enough money, I don't think we would have got Harry Potter. I don't think we would have got a lot of things. And even
I think you're so right. It was X-Men. That was like one of the first big budget, like sci-fi like movies that did really well.
It let Hollywood and everyone know that, hey, we can make these kind of movies and people will not only come to see them, but want more. And what happened is once movies like that started getting made more and more slowly but surely, even the quote unquote bad ones like the Fantastic Four we're talking about and like Daredevil, that wasn't like these movies that weren't that bad. The thing about it was they opened up a dialogue between the actual nerds and regular people. because when you be, oh my God, so and so, when a regular person, when a normie, that's what I'm going to call them, normies. When a normie is talking about something and the geek is in the room, the geek going to pipe up. Well, actually, in the comic books, this is how you get down, because I do that sometimes. Anyway, so when that happened, it started that dialogue and made people want to know more. My other opinion on why is because the people who started making those movies, making those choices, were nerds themselves, because they studied and they went to great colleges and they have a lot of money now and they own studios, or they can get people, and they have, and that's what they want to see. I feel like when you look at somebody like Seth MacFarlane, the guy who does Family Guy, when you watch that show, Family Guy, that the creator has to be a nerd. There's like a Star Wars reference in every other episode and every other scene. It's like, how can you not know that these people are doing that? And that's why he pushes that in all his movies. Every one of his movies, he's clearly the type of guy who smokes a lot of weed and watches like Star Wars and freaking all that other stuff. But that's why I think it is.
I think you're right too, because like X-Men came out, and then I think the next year Lord of the Rings came out. So you had two just kind of like one that's like the superheroes, and then one that's like the fantasy, and they were both done really well. And so it really just kind of pushed all of that forward. So yeah, I think it's cool to be a geek now, whereas before, you're right, people probably weren't talking about it as much.
How well did Blade do when it first came out? Because Blade was like one of the first ones to come out.
Blade did well as well, but people didn't associate Blade with a comic book movie because they can say associated that more with being a vampire. Mm-hmm. And there had been so many successful vampire movies in the past. When that was successful, Hollywood didn't look at it like, oh, there's an avenue for these type of movies that are superhero movies. No, because he's a vampire.
Mm-hmm. Right, like Blade and Spawn both. I mean, didn't seem as much like comic book movies. They seemed more like action movies, or movies that were kind of trying to delve a little bit into the supernatural a little bit. But I mean, they didn't go all the way there. It wasn't. I love Blade personally. I love Blade.
Me too. Everybody loves Blade. What do you mean?
but it didn't seem like a comic book movie,
right? And I'm glad you brought up Spawn, because that's another one. Because that's another one where you don't associate it with that, but now that you know it is, it's like, okay. But I really feel like those two movies aren't really superhero movies.
Oh no, they're like anti-hero movies.
Absolutely.
Julian!
I made it. There he is. Look, everybody, we've missed Julian. Oh, and now Chris is gone.
He was like, bye.
Look,
I have to pee.
It's only 4 of y'all today.
Oh man, something is not doing it. You know what it is? I was trying to do it. I like kind of send my normal laptop.
Now I can't even hear you, Julian.
You are.
Can you hear me?
A little bit.
Too low, or am I? You can't hear me at all.
You just sound hollow. Just keep talking.
Hollow.
We'll strain.
I'll talk really, really loud. How does that sound?
That's better. Yeah.
Oh, okay, maybe I just have to. Maybe I don't know. Okay, so I was trying to do it on my phone at first because I'm kind of sans my regular laptop. Apparently, it's not a good enough connection on Safari, so I was like, oh, this isn't working. So then I had to I fired up a netbook. My other laptop, my laptop technically kind of works, but the graphics card, like the fan, doesn't go the way it should, so it overheats usually. But whatever. Anyway, I have made it.
So let's get into the conversation, Julian. So basically, we were talking about, what were we talking about, Jessa?
So we were talking about how geekdom has kind of become cool and mainstream. And I think actually, you in our first one, you had talked about how you're very into Avatar. So I think maybe you have kind of a different perspective than some of us on kind of why that's so cool and why that has such a good following. You wanna talk about that?
Actually, I might just do the whole thing because okay. So I think I agree because I have been listening at least while I've been trying to put everything together. That X-Men definitely kicked it off. And a lot of those movies, it kind of just made things cool for everyone. everyone else, you know, because I think someone was saying it before that, like, you know, that the geekdom used to be a lot of like uncool things, like the stuff that we loved when we were kids, but everybody made fun of us for it. So it's like
Power Rangers.
You know, Power Rangers, you got made fun of. Magic cards, you got made fun of.
Dungeons and Dragons, man.
Dungeons and Dragons. Oh my God! Still, you get made fun for Dungeons and Dragons. Are you kidding? You know, and it's like, I think that these just kind of made it cool because they were able to connect those geeky things with, like, to be honest, with, like, you know, cool things, I suppose. Like, you know, you have Hugh Jackman, and you know, he's brought Wolverine to life, and like, because everyone loves Wolverine, so I'm just gonna go with that one. You know, he brings Wolverine to life, like, and then it's kind of cool. Like now it's cool for guys to like it. Cause like, and another one, like, I'm a big WoW fan. I'm kind of, you know,
Wow.
World of Warcraft. So like, you know, we get fun for things like that, but it's funny because the landscape of World of Warcraft from when it first came out to now, along with like geek culture, it's just geekdom becoming more mainstream in general and being cool. Like the type of players you have and the people who play is so much more diverse than it used to be. It's like people who are like jocks and things, you know, jocks and like muscleheads and, you know, like gym rats and like, you know, business people, whoever it is. Like now they all kind of have gotten on board with it because all those things have become a lot cooler now. Well, at least more acceptable, which is kind of like what everyone's, you know, what we've always wanted, I guess.
I think they made a World of Warcraft movie. I don't like it. It was.
Oh God, it was good. It was.
You liked it? Oh no.
I liked it for what it was because.
You mean the one with Paula Patton?
Maybe.
Yeah, she was green, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't like a written masterpiece, but it was.
It was like one of the movies that I want. I have never walked out of a movie, but I was real close at that movie. I don't know.
Oh, really?
I was so happy with it. My husband and I played Warcraft, and I just, ooh.
Okay.
I almost walked out of the Avatar
Well, I mean, I was there. Oh, no, everyone should have walked out of it. First of all, that movie, don't ever name that movie ever again.
That doesn't exist. Come on now.
So mad about everything. Before, I didn't even want to see the movie when I saw Aang. No offense to the actors at all. They should not have cast y'all as those characters at all. It's so wrong that the way that they cast that movie, especially having been a man of color, for him to cast that movie that way, I was very disappointed.
Shame on you, M. Night Shyamalama.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. But I mean, I think that just certain things have broken their way into the mainstream, which is good and not good. I guess if we're talking gaming, at least, like for example, like that community has become much more toxic as it's become more mainstream. So it's like there's a few things that are like aren't always the best.
You said gaming has become more toxic?
Oh my God, yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it always has been kind of, but like it's become much.
You mean as far as like too much violence in the games?
No, not really violence. It's just more the way people act and conduct themselves.
People can be really ugly to other people. Like I feel like geek games used to be like a very friendly, open environment where it's like, yeah, you are accepted. This is our group, and we're hanging, and this is great. And now, like, people are super like cliquey and kind of like scary.
Yeah.
I don't play the games. I don't really play group games. Like any sort of games I play are pretty one-personal games.
Sure, yeah, we have to play the Buffy the Vampire Slayer board game.
No, especially not a board game.
Yes, they have a board game.
What?
Y'all, it's so fun.
Vampire Slayer board game.
It's like, have y'all ever played like, I think it's called Pandemic, which is really interesting right now. But everyone has like a different character who has like different abilities. We're all working towards the same goal. And it's like a game, y'all. I don't know. We can't play it virtually, obviously, because that would be hellish. But
I want to play it.
we have to play. We're gonna get together and have a game night at some point.
But everybody better bring their masks and their gloves.
Yeah, well, when the actual pandemic is
and all the hand sanitizers.
Right. Just spray down the whole game.
Whole game just with a little Lysol treatment.
Oh, best.
Hand sanitizer. Make sure. This has been a PSA to wash your damn hands and wear a goddamn mask.
And hide your kids and hide your wives.
Right.
Hide your kids and hide your wives.
Look.
Because they're raping everybody out here.
I actually have something that's on my mind to talk about.
Talk about it.
So the what's the movie? The Marvel movies that they're not the Marvel movies, the TV shows that they're putting on Netflix.
Yeah.
I'm so excited about this. Now I was on this group, and okay, this is totally off topic. I'm sorry, I just want to talk about it.
How dare you?
I was on this group. You said how dare I? I know. Okay, I was on this group, and they brought up the Scarlet Witch.
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk. Does anyone follow the original Charmed well enough to know that one episode where they went into the future 10 years?
Yes. Yes.
And saw how powerful Prue was?
Yep.
So someone brought up the discussion of who would win in a telekinesis off between her and Prue. And I just want to know your opinions. Having said that, Charmed is my favorite everything. So I'm going to hold my opinion. So I want to hear what y'all think. Who would win in a battle between Scarlet Witch?
The Scarlet Witch is one of the most powerful Marvel characters to ever exist. Like if you look at the lists.
In the movies or in the comic books?
No, in the universe, like in the whole Marvel universe.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to agree. Like I love me some Prue, but I think maybe when Prue, if she had reached like age 80, she might have been up for that. Her magic had to be like that.
Right, because their magic compounds on itself, and
their magic gets more powerful as they
live longer. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I just
but
I don't.
They also were supposed to be, the three of them were supposed to be in their universe the most powerful witches as well.
But that's together. That's not separate.
No, that's not true. That's not true. Let me tell you how it's not true. Do you remember that episode? Episode was like season 5 when they had all the fairy tales. The witch sent the fairy tales, made somebody bit an apple, somebody put the glass shoe on. When they said the
sorry, wait, you're gonna reference this episode and you don't know who was what fairy tale?
Of course I do. What do you mean?
You said something.
Little Riding Hood was Piper. Snow White was Paige, and Cinderella was Phoebe because that's her favorite fairy tale. Don't get it twisted, bro. Don't get it.
What was Piper?
No. Piper was Little Red Riding Hood.
Okay, good.
Also something else. She was also something else because they said only because when she asked the mirror who can defeat me, they said the strongest witch in the land can defeat you. And who defeated her single-handedly? Piper.
Well, that's because Piper's the most powerful of all the sisters.
No, it was Prue before Piper.
Well, yeah, okay, yes, but in that season,
Prue had stayed alive.
Okay.
If Prue had stayed alive and not died, she definitely
Prue would have been the most powerful. Okay, I'm sorry. Tangent. Continue.
I'm just saying, it to me is a good matchup when you talk about potential.
That's true.
Because there was this one episode where Prue, astral out of her body, jumped into a demon and vanquished him from the inside.
Well, that's true.
So to me, I feel like, but I do think Scarlet Witch would win that fight, though.
Yeah, I mean, like, look at that Avengers movie.
That one scene where she was about to get with Thanos.
that one scene where she like just comes out and I don't remember what character it was. It was just like, where's she been? Like, cause she just like massive everything.
Yes, it was Avengers, the first one, Infinity War.
Mm-hmm.
She was up in the tower and then came out and stopped those big things from moving.
Yeah.
Said, where's she been?
She's got my favorite character now that they've removed my other favorite character from the series.
Who was your favorite character?
Spoiler alert, Black Widow.
Yeah.
I was so mad. I was mad at the end of the first one because they got rid of Gamora, my second favorite. So basically, I felt like I had to choose between, and they both died the same way. I was like, so y'all basically made me choose between the two best characters in the franchise. I'm so mad.
I'm sorry.
Anyway, I just want to talk about that real quick. See what
that kind of brings us to like our kind of last little segment, which was what's your superhero name? Which I don't want to start because I have no idea.
Me neither.
Oh goodness!
Chris,
I got one.
Chris knows. You go, sir. Go.
Okay. So I have one of the coolest last names ever. So I wanted to incorporate my last name into my superhero name, and I came up with Blue Steel.
Oh my What are your
Blue-
powers?
Yeah, what are your powers?
So I'm kind of obsessed right now. This is like my current like nerd obsession is Fairy Tail, which is an anime. I don't know if any of you've seen it, but you've seen it, Julian?
I haven't yet, but I've heard it's good.
Okay, well, girl, it's so good. I'm on season like 7 right now, and I'm so into it. But there's a Dragon Slayer character in the show, and the Dragon Slayers are like the most powerful like creatures on the planet, basically. And he's like basically a metal dragon. He's the Iron Dragon Slayer, and he has like steel or iron powers that can like come out of his like hand, like huge clubs that can come out of his hands, or like just like heat and like an iron like roar. So yeah, that would be kind of close to I feel like I would have steel. I could be able to like not kind of like Colossus turn to steel, but extend my body into like this huge steel rods that can like punch people with.
Like Lady Deathstrike. But,
kind of, yes.
Okay.
You had to have thought about this like way before.
Yeah, you already did this training, bro. You did this for your first grade assignment, and you kept the paper.
Fairy Tail wasn't around then. But kind of. They actually like took it from my life experience. Yeah.
There you go.
Oh,
Who wants to go next? Jury A, it was your question. You go.
It wasn't really my question. I was trying to make this little intro video, and they was gonna do this one thing and it didn't work out anyway. So I was like, oh, don't worry about it. But my superhero name would be Enigma.
Enigma.
Yeah.
I like the imagery that like kind of creates.
Because in the way I see it, like my I don't know. I don't really have a power per se. It's the ability to like it's the ability to have unlimited potential.
All right.
Right. And so basically like the way I see the character, because I'm just figuring this out like 2 seconds ago, by the way. As I see the character, it's like he would look like in his superhero form, like naturally his body would look like this like blackish purple silverish thing that that the way like the sunlight hits some black stuff and you see like a little ripple.
A little, yeah.
Yeah. And so like, and his powers would be all like that. And so there would be like matter manipulation involved at some point. But I would also be able to like not adapt in the way Darwin does, but adapt in every other way. Like whatever circumstance I'm in, I'm able to like, I don't know.
Survive, Bish.
But it's not about surviving. It's not surviving. It's about it's not surviving. I can't think of the word. I'm a very image-based person. So I saw the character in my head and I was like, okay, this is it's kind of off topic. This is how I write. I see a character first, and then I'm like, okay, the rest. So he's Enigma. You don't really know what his potential is, but you know he does matter manipulation, and he can also do that to himself. So he's not a shapeshifter, but he is a shapeshifter. He's not a shapeshifter in the way that he can't become someone else.
He's not Mystique.
No, he's not like that. But if something like almost like a shapeshifter, kind of like in the when I say unlimited potential, like if somebody threw a big boulder at him, he would freaking fantastic and then be fine.
Okay. Okay. What's his costume like? You see his costume, so
he doesn't need one because he would just be like
naked.
Yeah, he would. Yeah, he'd be that kind. Look, let's talk about that for 2 seconds. Do y'all know how many characters I feel like naked more often? I'm talking about how many times have you seen a character like morph into something, it be naked as this something, and then morph back into human character and have clothes on?
I'm sorry. Let's talk about how the Hulk turns into the Hulk, but his pants stay on.
Right.
That's not true. His pants stay on until he becomes human again.
And then he's naked. He's naked after he's.
Those must be Calvin Klein's. That's what it is.
Hashtag too much Calvin Klein.
Calvin Klein. Oh man, but yeah, that's my character, the Enigma, or just not the, just Enigma.
I can't think of a name, but I know that I would be like an empath, like on steroids. I can't.
Ugh, not like a prompt, I'm sorry.
It's like you can make people feel stuff too. Like
That's not how it works.
No, but
people feel.
No.
think I'm more like receiving, but in a way that can be manipulative. So like I can understand, like I get what they're feeling, but I can manipulate them in a way that suits my whatever my mission is. I can't think of a name for it yet.
Rickophilia.
I don't know about that, but
Rickophilia.
Rickophilia.
Because I feel you, you know, like I'm an empath. I feel you. Rickophilia.
Chris. Oh man, but that
I have
would be
a
my
question about
power.
your powers, Rakia.
Okay.
So are you like charmed type empath? Because on charm, they could channel people because all of the powers were connected to emotions. Because they could feel emotions, they could also tap into other people's powers.
Ooh, I haven't thought about that, but that'd be cool.
But it backfires on people who are not empaths. If you're not supposed to be an empath and you get that gift, it'll drive you crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Because remember, Prue got that gift.
But she got it together though. That's what people forget about Prue. That's why
I take the power out of her.
No. This is what happened. At the very end of that episode, she was up there like, oh, yeah. They were like, Prue, you have to do it. And she just fucking got it together. She literally Matrix kicked that dude because she was so powerful while she was an empath.
I mean, yes, but it's still like they had to take it out of her. Like
Because it wasn't hers to have. They gave it back to the original guy. She could have kept it. Prue is not. That's the thing about good witches and charm. They're not power hungry. It's not about power for them. That's the whole storyline. Don't you shade Prue.
I'm not shading Prue. I'm just saying I don't think that her body was meant to have that power, so I don't think it would have worked out for her in the long run. But
maybe not, but she's a genius.
But I think mine's supposed to have that. So
Yes.
mine is supposed to. Okay.
Julian, do you have any powers?
Okay, so I always thought that mine would be a little bit closer to like Wiccan powers. As far as the name, it would be some variation of Juju, and I'm thinking that like as my powers get stronger, I change the color. So like maybe I'll end at like black Juju, start with like white Juju or something like that.
That's cool.
Gandalf the gray and the red and all that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or rather, actually, I think maybe better as I. All right, so if we're for myself, the way it would work would just be more like each color would probably be more dedicated to a school of magic.
Cool.
You know, versus just upgrading of powers and things like that. Just because I don't want to adhere to like the Marvel version of like his powers. You know what I mean? I think I'd definitely be a witch of some sort. Like for myself, I'd be some kind of Ruba.
All right,
But,
Jessica.
yeah.
It's your turn.
Damn, I thought y'all might forget because I.
Oh, sorry, Julia, for cutting that.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
I was thinking kind of like a time manipulation kind of feeling.
Ooh.
So kind of like what like Piper can do, where she can like freeze a moment, but like where you can also like go forward in time and back in time. So if y'all have read the book that I wrote, it's kind of the power that I gave like the main witch in my book. So I kind of really like that power, and I feel like that's probably what I would do. But I don't really know what I would call myself. I like no idea. Just the power kind of feels cool, but names, no, not super good. No.
I have issues with yours.
Why?
Because I didn't realize that we could use the powers of characters that we had already created. I thought that wasn't a thing because I would just take the powers from. I've created a lot of characters whose powers I want, and I would have picked one of them.
Okay, well, why wouldn't you? Like, we asked, what superhero would you be? Like, why would
That
you?
wasn't the question. The question was, what would your superhero name be? That was the question. That was the question. You didn't say what superhero would I be.
I think there's a big eye roll that's happening right now in my mind.
I don't see any eyes rolling.
Well, time magic.
Hey, everybody, Chris's screen just went dark. Why is that? Why'd that happen?
Time magic isn't.
I do want to say this though. If I could combine,
that she has written.
so can we go through there and do that question, everybody? Can we ask like if you could have an actual superhero's power that's already a superhero, who would it be? And just a quick one. Can we do that?
I suppose so.
Oh yeah.
Wait, if you could, sorry, say again.
Yeah, just pick a superhero or
Does it
two.
have to be a superhero? Can it just be a character?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm going to
Willow from Buffy. I want her powers.
Ooh, that's a good one. Good one.
Jubilee.
Nice.
I don't know go for Jubilee.
I wonder who her potential is.
Oh.
Mine's always been Rogue. I mean, always been Rogue.
But there's some downsides to that, bro.
There are, but she can take anybody's power and use it for her own. So mine's always been Rogue.
To do that?
Would I give up what?
Sex to do that? Because essentially that's what you'd be doing.
Ooh. Hello.
Right, if
I have
you
to
were
think
Rogue,
about
you
that.
never known either.
You burnt his bubble.
Oh no. You have messed up there, guys. Don't do it
But like,
I was so
but
sorry
like
because I'll be,
sex doesn't exist in this universe. I felt like, damn it, shit.
because everybody has kids. That's how the gene is passed.
Rogue had kids with Magneto. Okay, so it does.
How did
Sex,
Rogue have kids with Magneto?
you didn't read the comics,
I didn't.
mofo. Okay,
I wasn't trying to burst your bubble. I just
Rogue had sex with Magneto. So look, I can assume that the older I get, the more I can control these powers, and the more I can bump it.
okay.
You might have to find a super to bump it with, though.
Right.
Like I would assume she can do Wolverine all day long.
Probably, yeah, because he can take it. You know,
He's gonna have to.
that guy can take
Okay,
it.
shit else. Okay. That's all he can do is take it.
We're dirty. I'm
I
sorry.
know. This is a burn, didn't it? Well, we're adults now. Tell me, you lying. When I saw the first X-Men movie, because when I was younger, I used to think that Rogue, her superpowers were strength and the ability to fly.
Well, yeah, because in the cartoon, that's what they emphasize. But like her real power is the absorption. She
So
got those powers from Miss Marvel, not Miss Marvel.
One of the Marvels, either
One of
Mrs.
the
Marvel,
Marvel.
Lady Marvel, one of the Marvels.
It was Lady Marvel. That's it.
I think that's the real thing. I think I just made that up.
No, I think that's actually real. Lady Marvel, and she held on too long and actually absorbed her powers like forever, and almost killed Lady Marvel. So, but I actually do want that strength power and those flying powers too, though. Like that's part of the deal.
Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah, which is crazy because they just, so I guess they're gonna have that happen.
Oh,
Oh yeah, they did shoot her. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that is Captain Marvel. Yeah, she does fly. Yeah, and she's got like you can do like light beams or something like that. So.
Oh, we do have an answer to the Rogue question on our comments.
Oh, let's put it up. Boom. Every day.
Power now.
getting busy every day.
Every day.
For anyone who's going to be listening to this later on, it says Michael J. I want to say
Hike. Yeah.
Says Rogue can control her powers now. Her and Gambit getting busy every day.
Every day.
When he said it though, he said every day.
Every day.
For a day.
That's what he said.
Oh man. Okay. I just had to ask that because when I saw the new movie, that was the first thing I thought was like, well, could she not have sex then? Because I was a teenager when the movie came out, so I guess that's
Is she in the new one? Is that right?
Go, Julian. It's your turn.
Yeah, what's your power, Julian?
Well, if we were talking about superhero, like who would you choose?
I'm sorry, whose power?
To be honest, I actually would go with Scarlet Witch. She was like
Who?
Scarlet Witch.
Scarlet Witch.
My all-time favorite like Marvel character was definitely like Nightcrawler, and not the teleportation, but like just because more I identified with him. But as far as like the powers go, the ones that always like really caught my attention was definitely Scarlet Witch. And although I will say, and then kind of going back to whether or not Piper or her would win, Scarlet Witch, I think, aren't her powers supposed to be mostly uncontrollable? Rather that they don't have the effect that she always.
No, I think she definitely gets control of them at some point because she becomes like pretty dope.
Okay. See, I
But
thought
it
it was just more like they don't perform in the way that she would expect them to.
Well, it is chaos magic. She does. she does control chaos magic. So yes, it does have the tendency sometimes to go askew, but she does eventually control them like real well.
Yeah.
The reason I have a question to about this whole thing is, and I just forgot the question.
Oh,
No, I remembered it. So I'm so curious as to how they're going to explain Scarlet Witch now that mutants are a thing. Because the issue is that they couldn't use that word or that storyline, but now that they can, I'm assuming either they're just gonna ignore the fact that Magneto's her dad, or they're not, which I don't see them ignoring that. You know what I'm saying? They don't.
Well, I think they alluded to it anyway. Well, no, they did that.
That's the movie that she wanted to kill Tony Stark. Yeah, she said that a bomb fell on her house, and her brother were trapped, and their parents were killed, and the bomb had attached to it Stark. And so that's her whole backstory about why the twins wanted to kill Tony Stark. And so unless she was adopted, which is very possible.
right. Yeah. Look, I wonder how they're going to start incorporating that. Like when they'll start incorporating
So
X-Men in.
this next phase, they said the new Black Panther is going to have Storm in it.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
It's going to have her in it. Now,
Yeah.
my issue is with who plays her. Side note, I actually thought of a great actress who could play her, but she's already playing a character in the MCU.
Is this going to be a running thing? Who's going to play Storm at the end of
Until they pick her, probably.
Who did you think? Who did you think?
Someone just because she's like hip.
Okay.
I'm worried about them picking Janelle Monáe. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm worried about that. I'm just not a fan of her acting. I like her everything else, but I'm
Who's
not.
the girl in the Sabrina, the Strange Sisters?
I don't know.
Oh, the name is Prudence, right? In the show. Oh, I love her.
I don't know. That's who I was kind of thinking.
She wouldn't be bad.
Real quick, and we can come back to this. My powers, and I did. Y'all might not have heard me, but I said 1 or 2 characters. So everything I'm about to say is valid. I picked Storm and Jean Grey.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
Those are the powers that I would have, and better not nobody come with me, bro. And I'm doing all the smoke. I'm not gonna be calm like Storm. Sit down. People, get out my face. Give me some money. I'll be the worst superhero ever. I won't be a villain though. I'll be like Hancock.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. I'd be like chaotic good.
Yeah, I'll be like Hancock. I'm never going to work again.
Nice.
Right?
Well, I think that actually leaves us at a pretty good place to like exit out. I think we've had a good convo. Do y'all feel similar?
Yes.
I do.
Do y'all want to tell the lovely people where they can find you if you're not on this podcast before we end everything?
Okay. Well, you can find me, Rickea, at Ricky Z Social. So RICKEYZ Social on Twitter.
You can find me almost nowhere, but if you do want to follow my Instagram, which hasn't had an update in a long time, so sorry. It is at Chris of Steel. That is Chris spelled like Chris of Steel with an E at the end, and that's it.
Okay, if you need to look for me, I guess Instagram actually is probably best at Bad Juju, BADD, double D's that I don't got, and then Juju, JU. Actually, I am in the works of like starting like an art Instagram actually, so just keep like definitely follow and then just keep posted. You'll see things stuff.
To find me, you can visit jessagarrett.com, 2 R's, 2 T's. My next book comes out August 1st, Timeless, The Law of the Coven. So, yeah, please visit. There's links there to purchase that in the first book. So, thanks.
And you can find me on my Instagram, Dury with a yay. DUREY with a yay. And also, we'd like for you to contact Woe Nelly, WoeNellyMedia.com, Woe is spelled W-O-E. So if you look up Woe Nelly on YouTube, you'll find us. I'm sorry, if you look up Woe Nelly Media on YouTube, Woe Nelly Media on Facebook, at Woe Nelly on at Woe Nelly Media on Instagram and TikTok, and we also are on. Did I say them all? I think I did.
Twitter.
This podcast will soon be available through other avenues, but we're gonna try to get it on Anchor soon, so that anyone who didn't get to watch can listen to it. Thank you guys so much for being with us. We want to know more about how you felt about the episode. Please share this with your friends and your family and anyone who you know wants to get in on this conversation. We're gonna have a guest chair at some point, so we're gonna be rotating a sixth person to come in, and we would love to have you. So if you want to do that, just send us a message through Woe Nelly Media or through any of our Instagrams, and we will try to get you hooked up through that. Otherwise, we hope you guys have a great night, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks for watching.